into your calling, stand in His strength. This is the moment, this is the sound. Disciples rising, you've got a calling, a fire inside. Fueled by the Spirit, bold and alive. So rise beyond ordinary.
Welcome to Section 6, Rise Beyond Ordinary video series. So far, we've talked about the foundation of what makes a disciple. But now, it's time to take things a step further. In this session, we will dive into the powerful principle of multiplication. You see, disciple making isn't just about adding people to the kingdom. It's about multiplying disciples, creating a ripple effect that spreads beyond your immediate reach and transforms lives on a global scale. Have you ever held something so small, yet realized it had potential to change the world? This tiny seed can multiply into an orchard, but only if it's planted, only if it's nurtured, watered, taken care of, only if someone decides that orchard, it's time to grow. Today, we're talking about multiplication. Not just addition, but not church attendance, but multiplication. Real discipleship is multiplication. And this, my friends, is where things go from ordinary to extraordinary. Disciples of Jesus are some of the most beautiful people on the planet. Not just because of how they treat others, but because of what flows from them. Kindness, patience, self-control, strength wrapped in humility. They aren't loud about their power. They live it. But here's the trait we're zeroing in on today. A true disciple of God multiplies themselves. Not maybe, not if it fits your personality or gifting. If you truly follow Jesus in an intimate way, you are called to multiply. Let that sink in. You must settle this truth in your heart. This is God's truth. No more excuses. Embracing this fully is what unlocks the door to spiritual revival in your life.
Satan has pulled one of the greatest tricks on the church today. He convinced us that multiplication is for those people. You know, the Peters and the Pauls. He's whispered, "You're not a full-time minister. That's not your lane." But Jesus didn't say, "Go to the church and consume." He said, "Go and make disciples." That wasn't a suggestion, it was a command.
If I go to the gym and I only watch others lift weights, or I ask someone else to do my reps for me, will I ever get stronger? No way, it's not happening. Discipleship is the same. We've built a culture where the pastor lifts the weights and the church just cheers from the sidelines. That's not the model Jesus gave us. He modeled multiplication. He started with 12, then 72, then thousands.
Imagine this. You lead 100,000 people to Christ each year for 10 years. That is 1 million people. Amazing, right? That might be considered a successful ministry, but the reality is, most people never experience this kind of fruitfulness. Even more concerning, without proper training, statistics show that only 1 in 10 believers actually become disciple makers. Out of millions, only about 100,000 are truly multiplying. That is the addition motto. Now consider this. You commit to disciple just 3 people every year moving forward. That is a reasonable number. Each of your disciples also commit to discipling 3 people each year, and so on. By year 10, you and your discipleship team will have discipled 265,719 people. By the year 50, we're talking billions. That is the power of multiplication. I go into more detail about this in the book, but if you haven't yet explored the difference between the addition model and the multiplication model of discipleship, I highly encourage you to bring it up in your group discussion.
You might think, Who am I to disciple anyone? But here's the truth. Discipleship isn't about being perfect. Can't say this enough. It's about being faithful, available, and teachable. If you can show up, be real, and obey Jesus, you are overqualified. We don't need experts. We need willing people, broken people who are being healed, who point others to the healer.
I know a woman who began meeting with just 3 college students. She used a curriculum called Natural Discipleship, which I talk more about in Session 8, Discipler's Toolkit. If you want to explore it now, you can download the app for free from your app store. One of those students eventually moved across the country. Now her student is discipling 3 others herself, and it continues to grow from there. That's what multiplication looks like. That's how you build a legacy. You just have to commit. Once you do, everything in your life will begin to take on a whole new meaning. You'll discover a sense of completeness like you've never experienced before. This is the missing piece you've been searching for all along.
You don't need a stage, you need a table. You don't need a seminary degree, you need a surrendered heart. Multiplication begins with obedience, with prayer, with a conversation, with one simple yes. Jesus said, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few." Well, let's change that. Let's stop waiting for permission and start making disciples who make disciples. You don't need to reach the world all at once. Just reach 3. Train them. Do the same. And in 10 years, you will unleash the power of discipleship and see your ministry explode in ways you never thought possible. The world is waiting for disciples who are ready to turn it upside down. Are you ready to lead the way? Are you ready to make history? So who are your 3? Ask God, pray, listen, and then go invest, encourage, equip, empower. You don't need to add to the church. You are made to multiply. Let's talk about it, and may God richly bless you.